Cinthia, I'm reading all kinds of articles, right? And one, it says, okay, there's 3,800 U.S. ETFs, but then another talks about almost 5,000 active ETFs. They keep coming every day, more and more ETFs. This is your area of expertise. Is it too much? I mean, how does the average investor take advantage of it?
So the ETF market has really revolutionized the way people invest in markets. Easy access to all sorts of strategies. That's the good news. The number of funds is growing at a very, very fast pace, like 500, 700, 800 new funds a year. That's really difficult for you to do due diligence, know which one to buy or not. So is too many a good thing? You know, if you like investor choice and concept, that's great. I think realistically, if you think that 90% of assets are in the passive funds, if you think that the top 10 largest ETFs control 35% of all the invested assets, it tells you that, you know, that money's not going to all 4,400, 4,500 ETFs today.
So they're all out there, they're all kind of floating around. On that notion, though, the active versus passive, right? Because one of the things I've been telling people for a long time, especially since 2009, I say the fix is in. In other words, the market goes up. People get paid. A big chunk of their check goes into the stock market. It goes into passive funds. Passive funds invest in the biggest stocks. The biggest stocks get bigger in part because all the money goes. It's just a positive feedback loop. And ETFs seem to play a big role there.
Well, you know, most of the ETFs started passive index tracking, and you think about market capitalization, S&P 500, you own the 500 largest stocks. But index creation has really evolved. There's a lot of really interesting thematic indexes, very specific different indexes, different weighting schemes away from market capitalization. So the index creation engine today is really smart, and it does a lot of active-like things in rules-based indexes. Right. So really it's a space that there's so many new ways to invest beyond just owning the largest.
So we had a guest yesterday, and she has a bunch of leveraged ETFs, and some of them have been amazing because, you know, they're, you know, micro strategies and those kind of names. 6.6 billion into leveraged ETFs, record inflows. What do you say to folks about those? Because right now, if you're in the right one, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I say be careful. You know, it's really exciting, the idea that if you buy a 2x leverage ETF, you're going to get twice the gains of that stock. The thing is that, you know, things go up, they compound on the way down as well. So if you think about NVDL, for example, which is a 2x NVIDIA ETF, NVIDIA stock is up 10% this year. That ETF is down 6%. And that's because of the volatility spikes every single day. And when you're resetting that fund every day, you're capturing some of that movement. So the performance may not be as linear as you may imagine if you're new to the leverage ETF space. So I would just say do a little bit of homework before you jump in.
All right, speaking of homework, recently, active model rebalance shows small pivot in risk appetite. So we're talking about insatiable risk appetite in some areas, but this is from you just about a month ago. The small caps.
I'm watching small caps, and I think it's really interesting because small caps have had a hard year.
They've had a hard few years.
And in so far year to date, small cap ETFs for the most part are down year to date. But in the last month, a lot of them have pivoted, and they're up now 3, 4, 5% in the last month. And I'm wondering, is it because of things like the big beautiful bill and, you know, regulatory lending rules changing, things about, is this fostering a sentiment that growth is picking up?
Domestically focused growth, right? Because
small caps are all about that domestic growth. So is it showing confidence in potential growth ahead? So we're seeing that pivot in performance. Is it because folks are just betting on the valuations? You know, large caps today are at least 2.5x value relative to small caps. So it's been interesting. It's a new trend, and I'm watching it, but I'm wondering what it tells about the future. Yeah,
I mean, I'm watching it too. It looks appetizing, to borrow your word, although I haven't really sunk my teeth into it yet. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Always appreciate you.